one single thing to say, I would say, what is your reason? Why are you running for council? There's lots of things you can say, but at the end of the day, it's about High River and where it's going to be in 15, 20, 25 years down the road. And you have to have that sort of vision in mind when you're looking at being on council. Well, first thing you do is you get an agenda that comes in. The beginning agendas are going to be fairly long because there's a lot of things to go over, but typically I'll reserve a Sunday afternoon to go through and read the agenda and get an idea of what's happening, and then again on Monday morning I'll refresh myself and go through the agenda again so that I'm prepared for the meeting. If there's items that are important or that I don't have a good background on, I'll reach out to administration on Thursday or Friday to get some clarity on what the issue is. So I'll start with Committee of the Whole. Committee of the Whole is kind of an open meeting. It's not as formal. We don't refer to ourselves as councillors or anything. We'll talk, hey Craig, you know, we can really lay ideas out there. It's more like just throwing things against the wall, ideas, suggestions, that sort of thing is what happens in the Committee of the Whole meetings. Of course, we do have an agenda, but again, it's a lot of idea back and forth, a little less formal. No decisions are made in Committee of the Whole. We can ask administration to do some work and bring it back to a council meeting, a formal one for a resolution. But it's more of a looser kind of atmosphere to talk in. The strategic priority meetings are usually generally start out pretty heavy at the first council, for your first couple of months in council. And basically that's what your vision is for High River going forward over the next 4 years. And typically they do the thing with the yellow stickers where we put different ideas up on the wall, and we'll start out with 300 ideas of things that we'd like to see, and we'll whittle that down over time and get it down to a reasonable number for administration to focus on. And as we usually have 5, and then as they drop off, things have been accomplished, then we'll reach in and pull out another one and put it back onto the list. So council meetings are the formal meeting. That's what you see televised, or not televised, what's the right word? On YouTube. You know, it's the more formal where administration puts together motions for us. It comes to council, we will debate on the item, and then we'll do a vote, and if it passes, of course, it becomes, I don't want to say law, but it happens. If it's defeated, then it might go back to administration for a rework or some tweaking to get it back to where council will approve it. But again, it's really important that people recognize coming on council, it's not your decision. You need at least 3 friends to make things happen on council. So it's a 4-3 vote, then it'll pass. Should note that if it's a 3-3 vote, say somebody's absent, then it's an automatic defeat. But to remember, you always need to have some friends working with you. I've been on pretty much every board and committee you can do, except for, I don't think I've been on West Winds, but I've served on the museum board. I served on the airport board, CMRB, various other committees. Well, it keeps you, I think being on committees is important because it keeps you in touch with the community at a more formal level. Like, for example, on the memorial board, working with those people and figuring out what the memorial board needs to do to operate. The museum, they're requesting funds. By being on their board, I get an in-depth knowledge of what's happening with the money, where it's going, and what they're doing with it. The deputy mayor is simply there to fill in if the mayor is unavailable. If he gets called away on business or something else happens, the deputy mayor will step in. He'll participate in the pre-council meetings with the mayor just to make sure that the script is in place and that he understands it. And yeah, that's basically what the deputy mayor does. For me, it was about realizing that you're not an individual on council. You're an individual during debates and discussions, but once a vote is taken, you're part of the team, and it's a decision of council, which of course we're all going to be members of. That's really the fun part about being on council. I really enjoy the Canada Day. I've been at every one, and I love handing out the cake to everybody and smiling and laughing, and it's generally a pretty fun atmosphere to be in. Sometimes stuff can get pretty tense in council, and these are nice getaways from it. Oh, favorite moments. Well, there's been so many, you know. I've been involved in the council that built 498, right? At that time we had trucks going through town with cattle in the back, and they were pooping all over the roads. And that was one of the issues, was how do we get these trucks out of High River? Well, they had to get to Cargill, so we went together with the county and we put together a plan to build 498 and the overpass at Highway 2 so the trucks could access. That was a big moment for me. But I have to say my really biggest moment was when we opened up the Cargill Field House. That to me was one of the reasons I actually ran for council back in 2010. Was I had been heavily involved in lacrosse in High River, and our kids were at a bit of a disadvantage because the ones in the city had surfaces to play on about a month and a half, 2 months before our kids did, because of course the ice was in and we couldn't play or practice. And the other part of that is I went for a walk with some seniors, and they used to go walking at the high school. That was where they did their walking over the winter time. And I can tell you, it's not an environment to go walking in at the high school, especially at that age and the seniors that were doing it. So the walking track was a big part of it. And now, even today, when I go over to the field house and watch the seniors walking the track or see the kids playing lacrosse, and now we've got basketball, we got all kinds of things going on in that field house. And to me, that was one of the big happy moments for me, is when that opened. Also, Charles Clark Medical Center, when I started, we focused on getting doctors. How are we going to get doctors into town? And Charles Clark Medical Center was sort of the solution for that. And it's helped tremendously. I would say that if we didn't have that today, we wouldn't have near the number of doctors that we do practicing in High River. That would be the three biggies, I think. Now, I'll clarify. In 2013, of course, we had the high water event. I'll call it the high water event. I ran for mayor against Mr. Mayor Snodgrass, and he kicked my butt. He kicked my butt, but it was important to stay involved. And the people remember I was in the back row council chambers for the next 4 years, staying in the loop. What's going on with council? What's going on with the town? What are issues? How are we rebuilding after the flood? And I actually got to be part of that, and being here in council chambers, you get to be part of that decision making, because you get to speak to council at the end of council meetings and put forward your ideas and your thoughts. But I kind of like that, because then people come in with fresh ideas and are not afraid to speak out and say things, and that's what makes up a good council, is people that are willing to talk.